So today's opener is going to go off of the lesson that we've done Monday and Tuesday, which is simplifying square roots. So what I'd like to see on your desk are your yellow note sheets that say simplifying square roots. That way if you have any questions or you're stuck, you can refer to those square root notes to help you out. So if we're looking at our note sheets, the first step is going to be to do what? Borrow Kiera's for now. Miss V went down to see if that calculator wants it. Sorry about that. What's the first step I do when I'm simplifying a square root? Yeah. You know what I would do before even doing the factor tree? I would see if this is a perfect square. So the first thing I would do, it's not. Okay, so we get a decimal. So if we find out that it's not, okay. If it's not, then we're going to go ahead and do the factor tree. So what two numbers can I multiply together to get 70?
10 and 7.
35 and 35.
If you add them, you'll get 70, but not if you multiply them. 7 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle that. Kyle, what are two factors of 10?
5 and 2.
Okay. So I'm going to circle my primes. The 7 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle 7. And then 10, the two factors of 10 are 2 and 5. Those are both primes, so I'm going to circle those as well. That's the first part of step 1. The second part of step 1, I'm going to put these up in my radical. So I'm going to put them in standard form order, which is going to be what, you guys?
2, 5, and 8.
Okay. Now, this is going to be similar to a problem that we did in our notes yesterday. Do I have any factor pairs that they can be combined with?
No. Nope.
No, so I can't do step 2, can I? Which means I also can't do step 3, which means I go back just to step 4. Step 4 says to go ahead and simplify my inside and my outside numbers. Well, I don't have any coefficients to simplify, but I do have radicants to simplify. So I'm just going to take 2 times 5 times 7 and get what? So if I'm going to simplify the radicand, what's that going to equal? 70. Do I write it like this?
No.
What has to be with it? Square root sign and a box. Because remember, none of those numbers canceled out. So what this information here tells us is that the square root of 70 was already in simplest form. There was really no way for us to know that, though, until we factored it out. Jalen? Yes. We're going to call today just a crazy day. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at the second one. The second one is 2 times the square root of 256. What is the number that's in the outside position? What's this number that's in the outside? What's that 2? The coefficient. We're going to not pay any attention to that coefficient just quite yet. The first thing I'm going to do is see if 256 is a perfect square. Is 256 a perfect square? No. So we're going to have to factor it. Now 256 is a pretty big number. What two numbers can I multiply together to get 256? If you don't know, look at the last digit. Is it an even number? Yeah. That 6 is an even number. All even numbers are divisible by 2. So what's 256 divided by 2? So 128 times 2 will get you 256. So there are the two factors I'm going to use. We're going to circle the 2. That's right, because it's prime. Then I'm going to have to drop down and factor 128. Again, 128 is still a pretty big number.
2 and 64.
2 and 64. So you can take 128 divided by 2 and you're going to get 64. Again, 2 is prime. What two numbers can I multiply together to get 64?
32 and 2.
32 and 2. It's like the never-ending 2 show. Okay, what about for 32?
16 and 2.
Okay.
4 and 4.
Okay. Oh, why did I do that? What am I doing? Okay. Now what?
2 and 2 on each.
On each. Good. Did anybody see the mistake I made?
You so good.
Yeah. don't circle those 4s. They are composite. They are not prime. Oh my gosh. That's a lot of 2s. So the second part of step 2, or excuse me, step 1, I'm going to put my equal sign. What is the very first thing that I'm going to put after the equal sign?
The square root box.
Not yet.
Wait, what?
The 2, that's.
That coefficient, that outside 2, yeah. Then I'm going to put that square root sign, Daisha. Then how many 2s do I got to put up under there? 8. That's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step 1, complete. Step 2, what? 8. It's a lot. What's my step 2? What's the next thing I now need to do? Yeah. Uh-oh. Do I have any other numbers left over that doesn't have a pair? No. So the square root of 256 actually is a perfect square. But I'm going to show you something here in a minute. So every single one of these pairs cancels with what? The square root sign, right? And they all move where? Out of the box to the coefficient. So I already have this 1, 2 that's on the outside that I need to bring down. And then how many 2s am I going to bring down from the radicand?
4.
Yeah, good job, Daisha. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 5 2s altogether now. So what's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2? So what's 2 to the 5th power? So 2 times 2 is what? 4 times 2 is? 8 times 2 is? 16 times 2 is?
Oh, you said 16?
Yeah.
18. Wait.
2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32. So my final answer is going to be 32. Now, what I'm going to write in the green, you don't necessarily have to write. Now, type into your calculator, ignore the coefficient, type into your calculator the square root of 256. So the square root of 256. What did you get? What did you get for the square root of 256? No, you're right, say it again.
16.
16. Now, remember 16 squared, that cancels. But, so the square root of 256 is 16, but we got to remember this number that's on the outside. So what you could just simply do then is bring that over here, multiply it by 2, and we get the same answer. So there's 2 ways to solve this problem. Either way is acceptable. The main thing that you need to remember, though, is if you start with the coefficient, you have to multiply that back in by the coefficient. If that's confusing for you, like it might be for me sometimes, I would probably just stick to the purple, blue, and red method. Okay. Moving right along. The square root of 210. Now this one's going to be a little bit easier for us to simplify, right? Well, what's the first thing I probably want to check? What's the first thing I probably want to check? 2 words, if it's a perfect square. So is the square root of 210 a perfect square?
No.
Nope. So then we're going to do what with it? We're going to factor it. What 2 numbers can you multiply together to get 210, Damon? What did you say? Say it again. I just didn't hear you.
No, that's 10. 10.
Yeah, 10 and what? So if you take this 0 out.
It's 10 and, come on, G.
Well, look, do me a favor. Look up here. So you have 210. If you drop that 0, what are you left with? So 10 and 21.
Still, she missed it.
Okay, keep going. Damon, can you factor 10?
Yeah, 5, 5.
5 plus 5 is 10.
You still?
So what 2 numbers can...
2.
There you go. And what do I do with these 2 numbers?
You circle.
Okay.
And for 21, you do 7 and 3. 7
And?
and 3.
Nice job.
6 and 7.
Keep going.
Then, what?
Keep going. No, finish step 1 up for me.
Finish which one?
Finish.
Oh, then you put a little thing up top.
What's
What?
another?
Huh?
What do I need to put?
A little thing up top.
What?
No, he's fine.
Square root, yeah.
That square root sign? Okay. What should go between my other square root and my new square root sign?
Uh,
Equal sign. Always put an equal sign there.
yeah.
Okay, now what do I put under that square root sign?
2 and 2. Wait, it's the 2 of them, man. Oh, I'm tripping. I thought it was 2. Man, I know, man. Shut up, man.
Hey, please don't say that.
Be quiet. 3, 5, and 7.
Okay. Jalen, now, do I have any factor pairs?
No.
No. So again, I can't do step 2 or 3. So I go to step 4. Alex, what's step 4 say to do? I want you to stay facing forward. If I see you turn around one more time or make a comment when I'm not talking to you, your new seat is going to be in the hallway. So what's step 4? What's the last thing I'm going to do here? Yeah, simplify it. So what's 2 times 3 times 5 times 7? Oh, yeah. This is all you.
Wait, 210.
210. What should be above that 210? You have to know what it's called. Square root sign, and we're going to box it. So again, the square root of 210, although it's a larger number, it's already in simplest form. I had no idea, so I had to show my work and work it out first to determine that.
I just need to use the calculator.
Try it. See what happens if you just use a calculator. What did you get when you put the square root of 210 in there? Oh, I'm just curious. I'm asking. Second. Square root. You're gonna get a dozen, right? So if you get, because it's not a perfect square. All right, last one here. The square root of 1600. Raise your hand if you can give me 2 factors of 1600. Kaylon?
I could say 116.
Perfect. 16 and 100. Keep going.
10 and 10.
Okay.
5 and 2. 5 and 2. Yeah, circling.
Okay.
16. I'm on the 16 side. You can do 6 and.
Nope. 6 is not going to be a factor of 16.
Whoa. What about 4?
4 and?
4?
Yep.
You circle.
No.
No, you do 2 and 2, and 2 and 2, then you circle them 2 2s.
There you go.
Then you go to the side, make the equal symbol.
There you go.
Then you go to make the square root. Then you go put them on the
Let's see.
inside the square root.
How many 2s do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6.
Yeah, the 2 times 2, you keep going. And that's going to be times 5 times 5. Hold on, you messing up. You have the line not long enough.
There you go. All right. Nice job. Step 2, Daisha, what do I do? What do I do for step 2? You guys, no one did the quick step first, did they? Did anybody check to see if this is a perfect square before we started? No! Come on! So we did all this work. Yeah, it is a perfect square. How do I know automatically this is a perfect square?
It has 2 zeros in there.
Do I have any leftover numbers that did not have a pair?
Yes.
Where? Do I have any leftover numbers that did not have a pair? No, so they're all going to cancel with the square root sign, which means they all move from the radicand to the coefficient. So what's my coefficient going to be now? Anybody? Well, what numbers do I move from the radicand to the coefficient? What numbers do I take from the outside and move to
2, 2, and the 5.
like this?
Yeah.
Which is going to equal what, you guys?
100. Let me
Four,
isn't it the same number?
No, because it's not a square root. Because those factor pairs canceled with the square root sign.
60.
2 times 2 is what, you all? 4 times 2 is?
4. It's 40.
8 times 5 is? 40. Good. So again, if you guys would have taken your calculator and typed in the square root of 1600, you would have got the square root of 40 squared, because that's how we show our work, which cancels and equals just 40. All right.